I don't think that was an honorable fight when we just scooped up hundreds of worms in a big bucket and then put them on a plate. Was that an honorable fight? Did they really fight tooth and nail, those gag? Captain, it looks like we were just hit by an arrow. This is Vox in Excelso, which is the 4th episode of the 1st season of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. And let me tell you up front, this episode is a bit of a mixed bag. That means there's good and bad. It's not just kind of bad, like the last 2 episodes of Starfleet Academy. Don't let anyone tell you that this episode is much worse. It's kind of not. It's actually a little bit better. This episode is about Klingons. It's about a race in Star Trek that we know. And let me tell you, it's fun to finally have normal Klingons back in Star Trek post-Discovery, or I should say post-Discovery Season 3. The Klingons on display here are just classic Klingons. We meet more than just Kraag. We meet his family. He says he has 2 dads and 1 mother or something like that, and they look pretty Klingon to me. It's a shame that we have to think in this way now, that we just want the old Klingons back. We want things to look like the way that they were. 800 years is not enough to really change you that much. Think about 800 years ago for mankind. I assume you're a human. Were they that different? I don't know. But that's beside the point. And these little quibbling visual things, if they're good, they can be, like frosting on the cake, right? The cake is what we're reviewing here. At least I'm trying to. Although, if these little quibbling visual things can be bad too, they can be a nasty little a dead rat inside that cake. In this frame. Let's see what's going on with Vox in Excelso, which I think means, well, I don't know, like big voice or talking a lot or something. I don't know. I don't speak modern Star Trek title language. Because I don't know what it is lately, but they like to do these Latin, I assume, titles. If you know what that means, great. So we're talking a lot, talking big, talking high, big talk. This is going to be a talky episode. Fine. Good. Just an episode being about conversations and stuff like that. That's not a death knell, right? If it's good, it's really good. But if it's bad, you can get the last episode of Starfleet Academy or the one before that, where we just kind of talked about nothing. And this episode doesn't set a great tone at the beginning. I said this was a mixed bag, and it's a pretty discrete 3 chunks too. I didn't like the beginning, I liked the middle, and I didn't like the end. What happens in the beginning? A lot of the stars talk that I can't take anymore. I'm only one man. I can only do so much. Your future is in the stars. How many times has Star Trek in the last 10 years said the stars? Right? How about let's just say space? If we're gonna say my future belongs in the stars, let's just say my future is in space. Just do something different. But we get a lot of that primarily at the beginning from Nahla making a principal, chancellor, captain's address, what have you. We are on a flight, by the way, so we are in captaincy mode, not necessarily in principal of a high school mode. She says things about growing up, and this nebula is made up of all these atoms, and you're made up of atoms too, and aren't we all the same, yada, yada, yada. We've all heard it before. And then just when you think we turn off this, machine gun of modern dialogue, we go into a debate class with the doctor, EMH, and we referenced the episode The Drumhead from TNG, the speech by Judge Aaron Sate, or Sati, whatever it is, the first line censured, blah, blah, chains us all irrevocably, with the first link, the chain is forged. He's quoting that, and I watched it 10 times. This isn't like destroying the episode. I'm just saying that it would be remiss if I didn't point this out. He misses the chains part, I believe. It just goes straight from one thing to the other. With the first speech censored, us all irrevocably. I believe that's what it was. We see, I gave it the best possible chance. I looked at it. It appeared for a lot of the dialogue that Robert Picardo, EMH, was not facing the camera. Maybe that was B-roll that he dubbed over, and they cut it weird because there was something wrong. He was facing away from the camera, walking away. You couldn't quite see his face moving. With the first speech censored, us all irrevocably. I mean, I'm no linguist, but I don't know what that means. Chained is very important in that sentence, I think. But, anyway, Robert Picardo just reads off the line, I guess. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that room where they were recording this. But another kid in attendance brings up the fact that Robert Picardo, EMH, I should just start calling him EMH or Doctor now. Doctor says, yada yada yada. Debates aren't for chicken shits, and this kid brings that up. Are we supposed to talk like that? No, but the doctor, he just kind of jumps down this kid's throat when this kid impugns the doctor's language. And the doctor, he appeals to his age, talking to this kid, for why it's okay for him to use this type of language. He appeals to his age. You must appeal to reason and logic. It did not become right because the doctor is old. Do you understand? That's not actually what you're supposed to do. Like, appeal to authority, appeal to majority, appeal to age. These things, I mean, it's the first thing you learn about this. You're kind of not supposed to do that. Even, and this episode is about debating, and you shouldn't be doing that, right? You should, you should be able to conclude the veracity of something or the truth of something based entirely on reason, logic, and reason of sense information from the exact moment in time that the argument was made. We don't need to appeal to age to find out that 2 + 2 is 4, for example. So, I mean, that's what I would say to the doctor. But since I want to graduate, I would just be quiet and accept what these people are saying, which is probably what everybody in the writer's room did. They were probably not brave enough to say, we shouldn't say that. No one was tough enough in the writer's room, I guess. They're just so glad to have a job, and they didn't want to lose it. They just said, okay, we're going with it. Whatever Kurtzman says, I don't know, whoever's writing this, we'll have the doctor say chicken, shit. And I've made my peace with the kind of language difference in modern Trek. I've made my peace. It doesn't really affect the review score. I'm okay. I'm all right. But why did they bring it up? I didn't like that they brought it up. Right? It's their show. They can say things how they want. But then they have one character bring it up that he shouldn't talk like that. And I can't help but think, because I'm just a person, I can't help but think that kid is the audience. I can't help but feel a little bit attacked. Are they trying to throw it back at people who say that the language is bad in modern Star Trek? Is that what this is? Is that how that kid's supposed to be? Is that kid me? Is that kid you? When I got past that point, and by the way, the doctor is appealing to his age. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe that's a bad idea. You want to know why? Old Trek was around like 50 years before New Trek was around for 10. I think we got you beat in that department. But, again, 2 plus 2 is 4, and indeed 10 is a smaller number than 50. You know, I got to that point in the episode, and I don't know, I'm fickle, I'm thin-skinned, I don't know. I just needed to take a break. I got to that point, I pressed pause, and I just kind of spent like a few minutes kind of contemplating to myself and taking a breather. I was getting a 4.5 Vulcans vibes, where you're getting hit by so much insanity so fast that you have to stop and like wait for a minute. But thankfully, this episode is nowhere near as bad as that. Don't worry. We get past our mock debate stage thing where we, I'm debating on this topic. My opinion is this, and here's why, etc., etc., etc. It turns out that Caleb Meir, not only is he a pro hacker, he is a pro debater, and he has an encyclopedic knowledge, seemingly, of Starfleet / Federation law. He is not a jack of all trades. He is the master of all trades. He is just becoming perfect. I don't know. I was able to accept that he was this great hacker. That's going to be his thing. Okay, he's computers. Fine. But now his thing is also diplomacy. I don't know where he learned that one, jumping from prison to prison. Because I take it the people who imprisoned him would not be listening to reason. That would be my guess. Maybe he got Federation documents and literature in the form of, law in prison, and he studied it in prisons. I don't know. Would he be allowed to get that? I have my doubts, but had he been in Federation colonies before, maybe they allowed it. I'm having to make a lot of excuses for this because this is a 3-for-3 thing. Like, we're hacker, debater, and scholar, lawyer maybe. Moving on, I did end up though enjoying Caleb Meir more in this episode than any previous episode. He's lightening up. He's turning into a more enjoyable character. As in, they're just kind of easier to get along with for the audience, as was every character in this episode. I'm not hating the characters as much as I thought I was going to end up. I think they're going in a better direction. Although Caleb has to be the master of everything. Is he going to be captain at some point? Can everybody be captain? If only we could all be captains. Not me. I don't really want to be captain. There's an issue, though. You see, this episode revolves around Jaden Kraag, our Klingon friend, and recently a Klingon ship had gone down somewhere. They think his family may have been on it. Big disaster, especially in light of the burn. The burn, you see, did not treat the Klingons well. Dilithium-based reactors on their homeworld had caused a huge wave of Klingon refugees living on their world in this universe. This is New Trek. We destroy Romulus. We destroy the Klingon homeworld. That's what we do now. You see, we did it 800 years ago, and now it's happening again. So the Klingon Empire apparently can't cope with this. We're down to 8 houses or something like that. I don't know. So now, kind of, Jaden is our resident endangered species, evidently, and now you can't fail him for any reason. No, I'm not really saying that, but they do try to give him, time off if he wants. He doesn't want time off. He wants to focus on his work, which I understand. The idea of just buckling down and focus on what you're doing to get through stress like that, I can understand it. And you see, we eventually elect to make the debate class be about the Klingon refugee issue. And when they eventually brought it up originally, I didn't understand what the question was. They just said, make it about the whole Klingon issue. And I'm like, wait a minute. What was the question? What is the Federation doing? They didn't really make it that clear, but it became clear later on, so maybe it's just a me thing. The question is the Federation going to take in these Klingon refugees or not? And I think we just had this issue. Wasn't this in Picard season 1? Didn't we just do this with Romulans? And now we're doing the plot again. I don't know. I guess not much changes in almost 1,000 years. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Am I right? Drayden doesn't want the Federation's help for the Klingons, and Caleb Mir takes up the position that he wants the Federation to help the Klingons. And then Drayden's point is that, you can't... helping the Klingons is contrary to Klingon culture, right? They want conquest, they don't want help. And this debate between these two characters, I don't know why Caleb Mir was so incensed with Drayden's point here. What did Caleb have to get out of becoming physically almost confrontational with Drayden here? By the way, they showed great restraint having them not fighting. Good job. Fighting isn't, fisticuffs. I understand Drayden in this episode, but Caleb, it feels like the script needed a villain, quote unquote, for Kraag to go up against on the debate stage, and they couldn't decide on anybody, so just made it Caleb Mir, and then invented a reason why Caleb would become so confrontational, would take it so deeply, what Drayden was saying. I didn't really feel it. I didn't really believe Caleb Mir's point in this, like why it affected him personally, why it became personal. I didn't really quite land for me, but I understood Drayden's point of view here, and I think since the episode revolves around him, it works better because of this. We see flashback to Drayden Kraag. Not Kraden. We see flashbacks to Kraag's past. We see his family. We see his brother. His brother brings back a Starfleet transmitter thing from a trading post, gives it to Kraag, and Kraag looks at it, and he gets a message for, join Starfleet Academy. If you're looking for us, we're looking for you, or something like that. And this, plants a seed in his mind to join Starfleet Academy, because you see Kraag has always been not the traditional warrior type Klingon. He wants to be a healer Klingon. And we're kind of showing how that is, because later on his brother dies, and he knows that if he had Starfleet tech, he could save him. But you see the Starfleet tech, the Federation tech, isn't for Klingons. Klingons post-burn, at least these people anyway, are not really trusting of the Federation. And this leads, they come to, they come to a head. Kraag and his father, he has two, I think, here, but at least this one, maybe this conversation was between the three of them, and I got too confused. I conflated two together. I don't know, but suffice to say, this ends up causing Kraag to fail his rite of passage as a youth by killing this bird. Your first kill to be a warrior. I don't know about Klingon culture, but this seems a little late for that. He seems a little old for this. But I've experienced some nightmarish things when I was young, with regards to animals. But this is first time for Drayden. He can't kill this bird or something, and then his father eventually just abandons him there. Thanks a lot. That is the story essentially in flashbacks told over the sequence of this entire episode. That is the history of Drayden Kraag, and I must say, the sequences specifically in that flashback are shot so different than the rest of the episode that it is shot so different, edited so different. It must have been a stylistic choice to make the past seem so different. They filmed it. It looked like a similar place to where Book was from in Discovery, but the way it's shot with the, we'll say, flavorful editing and camera angles, it's a personal thing, but to me it felt cheap. It felt not not at the same level of prestige, we'll say, as the rest of the episode. And for me, I didn't really love it. You might. It's a stylistic clash that I think is intentional to show the difference between Drayden Kraag's past and future. maybe to be favorable to it, to be nice, I would say that, but it wasn't really for me. We get back on the debate stage between Caleb and Jade and Kraag, and we have a more amicable exchange where we decide that we're going to actually allow Jaden to introduce an idea that in order to get the Klingons' safety, we need to get them to. We're getting them to Fawn Alpha. Fawn Alpha is a planet that Vance brought up earlier in the episode with Nahla, where we're going to offer them this world, this uninhabited world that's just like Kronos, and the Klingons can settle this and they're going to love it. And oh wait, the Klingons don't want it because we're giving it to them. We're freely giving it to them instead of fighting them for it. And now the idea is, with Kraag on the bridge, to have a fake fight between the Federation and the Klingons over this planet. And the Klingons, it seems to be spearheaded by Wojciech. Wojciech is who seems, I don't know if I'm reading this right, maybe an old flame of Nahla. We see them earlier discussing the issue with the Klingons and Fawn Alpha. I couldn't stop seeing Klingon Santa when he showed up. He got the big jolly white beard and the white hair, and I remember just thinking, man, I wish he was wearing red, and he could just run around giving all the kids on the ship nice gifts where they open it and it's just a bunch of entrails. What? It's Breguet Lung. You like that, right? It's Gog. By the way, Jaden Kraag didn't want to eat the pepperoni on the pizza that Caleb Meir gave him because he didn't want to eat something that died without honor. He wanted to be able to hunt something to get it, even though Klingons eat Gog, little worms. Well, I don't think that was an honorable fight when we just scooped up hundreds of worms in a big bucket and then put them on a plate. Was that an honorable fight? Did they die to the death? Did they really fight tooth and nail, those Gag? I don't know. I got a feeling that the answer was no. But anyway, anything could happen in 800 and some years. Obel Wojciech, I believe his name was. And by the way, we're on a first name, last name basis with Klingons now. It used to be something, House of something. Now we just have a first name and a last name. I don't know. This Wojciech character agrees to have a mock battle with Nahla. And earlier on in this review, when I said I like the middle, not the beginning and not the end, now you're going to find out why I don't like the end. The end is so super patronizing to poor Jaden Kraag. They take him up on the bridge and introduce him, and it just feels like they're treating him like a baby. And he gets to kind of sit in on this situation between the Klingons and the Federation, which winds up being a battle that lasts for a minute, with the pew pew and the millions of ships crossing over each other, and you got your New Trek battle with fake circumstances. Nahla tells them to fire on these Klingon ships, but miss intentionally. The Klingons are gonna know. They're gonna know that the Federation was missing on purpose, and therefore they did not get the planet Fawn Alpha through conquest like they wanted. It's so fake, so hard to believe, and so patronizing to the Klingons in general that it's just we're doing this out of charity, but we're making it look like it's not, because in the human brain we read that like we're dealing with kids, right? And we're kind of reducing the Klingons to these kids under the guise of not doing that. So the story goes here that we need to solve the Klingon problem with a Klingon solution, which means to allow them to conquest this planet. But to do that, we need to play pretend with them, which is what you would do with a baby, which is not a Klingon solution to a Klingon problem. That's a human problem to a human infant. Human solution for the problem of a human infant, I should say. That's just being able to believe in this was a little bit of a big deal. I think a rewrite could really help us along. We definitely needed to have a real fight somehow between the Federation and the Klingons without causing a war between the Federation and the Klingons, at a time where the Federation could just step on the Klingons and immediately destroy them, which is very sad. So that you're in a no-win scenario as a writer. So we should have, changed the circumstances of the test. Whatever that would mean. I'm not a writer. I can't figure this out. All I know is that the ending really did not work for me. And it's bad enough that it actually affected the review score here, because it made all the goodwill I was developing towards Jade and Kraag and our Klingon friends, it was just it was being drained out a little bit, because now I know that the Federation was so powerful, it pretended to fight the Klingons so that the Klingons could think that they won a planet. Oh, no. I don't know how else to solve this, but I think that the Klingons, it feels pretty conquest-y to take over a planet that no one's there. I mean, it's probably a difficult job to colonize a whole world. Maybe it's dangerous. Maybe that could be fun for the Klingons. I don't know. I'm not a Klingon. But all I know is that the Klingons came out of this not smelling like a rose. They came out smelling like I don't know, a gummy bear, something infantile as such. And then we have our wrap-up conversation between Caleb Meir and Jaden Kraag, where Jaden admits that now there's room in my heart for my brother and you. And then Caleb Meir is like, here's your warrior stew that you weren't able to have because you weren't a warrior. You're a warrior now, I guess. How is it? Spicy. And I'm kind of glossing over a conversation between Lura and Jaden Kraag that recontextualizes Jaden Kraag's past. She explains, because she's psychic or something, I don't know, that Kraag's father abandoned him on that world out of respect for his decision to not be a warrior. And she has some kind of dialogue about how Klingons don't miss out of anger or something like that. Something like that when his father missed shooting that bird with the arrow. I don't know. Could Lura really know that about Kraag's father? I don't know. I'm not 100% on that, but I mean, it's a noble goal to make Jaden Kraag feel better about this. I might make up some nonsense like that if I felt bad for him and I want him to feel better, and I know that there's not a lot of Klingons left. One thing I might say is that, well, maybe your dad abandoned you because he wanted to give you a chance. I might reframe it like that. So, I mean, either Lyra's psychic or maybe she's just trying to be nice. I don't know. But I just came out of that scene totally in the middle, not really understanding which way to go on that, which way the needle was moving, but I'll accept it. That was Vox in Excelso, the mixed bag. I like the beginning. Wait, sorry, I got that backwards. I hate the beginning. I like the middle, and I don't like the ending. So how can you really love an episode where it's only fun in the middle? I don't know. This episode musically was good. The Klingon anthem came back from so many years ago. It's back when the Klingons show up here. That's really cool. There's an interesting kind of emotional, intimate musical number playing between the conversation between Caleb Meir and Jaden Kraag at the end. I thought that was interesting. I thought musically there was just more going on here. It was mixed higher into the world of this episode. Visually, we got to see the Athena detach its top module to go on onto a fake battle with the Klingons. We had mock debates, now we had mock battles. Interesting how that works out. I was looking for some Klingon ships I recognized, but the production here is so blurry. I can't. I was trying to make out if there was like a really old Vorcha or something like that, and I couldn't really make it out. Maybe it was there. The cargo ships there looked very old to me. Just, they rung a bell. But it's such a blurry frame. The final frame you get with New Trek is always blurry, and you really got to look at it to read the tea leaves here. But visually, it's a lot better than what we've got before. And scenes in the flashback, your experience may vary, your mileage may vary. For me, it wasn't really working, but at least it was there. At least something was happening. At least we left the ship. Thematically, they didn't stick the landing. It's a little bit contrived in how they've had to bring Caleb Mir in to be an antagonist, in a sense, for Jaden Kraag. The idea of how do you remain Klingon spiritually while relying on the Federation entirely for your survival. That theme reflects in the microcosm and macrocosm, which is a sign of a great theme. It's centered around the character of Jaden Kraag, his own past with regards to remaining Klingon, being a warrior in his own unique way, while extending that feeling to the entirety of Klingon species. In a sense, how do we allow our Klingon friends to feel like they've taken this planet by conquest? We don't resolve it well. Sadly, if we could resolve this perfectly, this would be a much better episode. Plot-wise, we're kind of like, lately I've noticed in Starfleet Academy, we're not really having A plots and B plots so much. It seems like we're all just kind of in an A plot because everything affects everything else. Everything is moving in the same direction. Every boat is rowing in the same direction. So I haven't really been harping on about A plots and B plots or C plots that much lately in these reviews. That's why our plot is a one and done, meeting our Klingons, figuring out how to help them. We successfully help them, right? And in the middle, we have Jaden getting into a debate stage battle with Caleb Mir that works out how it does. Better for Kraag than for Mir, but that's my opinion. Plot, that's what we're really getting. And that is Vox in Excelso, the fourth episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. I want to call this Starfleet Star Trek Academy. Actually, you know what? Star Trek Academy would not be that bad of a name. It's a little bit less of a word salad than Star Trek Starfleet Academy, I must say. But alas, that is neither here nor there. I'm going to go ahead and give this episode a 5.5 out of 10. This is my favorite episode so far. If we could have got a reasonable resolution to this plot with regards to not making the Klingons look like babies, I would have given this a 6. But alas, this is what we're ending up with. It's better than the first episode by a hair, but that's not saying that much, and it's certainly not terrible. With that out of the way, I'd like to point out the intro. The intro was not in the first episode. The intro theme, the opening sequence, it appeared a little bit later, and I'm going to mention it now, arbitrarily, it would seem. Musically, this is the worst intro. I think there is nothing there. You can see the exact moment in this intro where it feels like the theme is supposed to kind of rise up and pierce through the miasma, the moribund menagerie of musical amelodic tones that are playing here, and it never does. Nothing happens in this theme. The only thing that has is visuals. It's just a visual sequence, and they couldn't figure out any music. I mean, let's be real. For a new Trek Fehr, generally they are kind of melodically, lacking in the melody department, which old Star Trek never had that problem. But I'll be real. New Trek does succeed in the incidental music during the episode. The background music during the episodes are better than a lot of the new Trek. Are better than a lot of the old Trek background music. That's my feeling. But the intro is where we lack. Funnily enough, our best intros belonged to the animated outings, that being Prodigy and Lower Decks. Our live action outings in Star Trek for their intros are just amelodic, unhummable nonsense. That's just my feeling, but again, it's very subjective, so you may think entirely different. Anyway, with that out of the way, that little aside, I'm Lieutenant Mark, and I'm going to see you next time I see you. So long.